Hi there, thanks for joining me. I'm Shane. We're continuing a series here on this David Brown 990, and we're going to be talking about the right hand ramshaft bracket that goes right there. In this video, we're going to be covering the disassembly of the selector control mechanism parts out of here and the reassembly of it as well. And those of you that are frequent viewers of my channel will wonder, well, didn't you just get through disassembling this in the last video? Well, yes, I did. And I learned something, and I'm going to do it again. You do not have to use an 800-pound gorilla's force to grab this shaft and hammer it out that way. You don't have to do that. So I'm going to redo it. All right, so let's get this thing underway. Remove the cap screw. I kept calling this a blanking plug. I kept calling it all kind of stuff in the last video. Cap screw, I think. All right, that's unscrewed. All right. Next is to drive out the pin right there. To do that, I'm going to move the shaft that way. If your shaft isn't free, you'll need to free it up. Right there. I'm going to use a punch to get this out. Hopefully not breaking that plastic fork. All right, that's out. Got a roll pin in the parts bucket. Okay. Now then, that the fork and the shaft are disconnected, there are flat spots on the shaft itself that you can see from inside the casting. I'll rotate it up. Now I am going to use the vice grips, but I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on them and mar the metal up in any way, hopefully. See, it just turns in there. You can see a flat spot here, and if I push it back a little bit, I can't go in from that side yet. But you can see the beginnings of a flat spot right there. Well, I can't do that. It's sliding on there. And you can see a little bit of a flat spot over here. But no matter where you are in the casting looking down, you should be able to see where the flat spots are. Those flat spots for removal should be facing down. So let me move those down. For both installation and removal, those flat spots need to be in the down position. Right here, there's a blanking plug that obscures the end of the shaft. So you can't really, drive it out from that side. Well, last video, I took a pair of vice grips, hooked them on right here, clamped them on really tight, and used a hammer to beat the vice grips over so the shaft could come out this side. Well, there's already a shaft in there, and there's a little bit of a flat spot on this side. Why can't you just drive it in that way to pop the cap out? Just like that. The cap is out. No need to use a pair of vice grips other than maybe to twist the shaft to where the flat spots are down. Regular pair of pliers to do that, soft face pliers, whatever. You don't have to mar up that metal on that shaft to do it. Then take a punch from this side. There is a ball in there, so be careful. There's a ball and spring. See if I can see it. Yep, there it is. There's the ball. Right there, and then of the magnet. And now you can continue driving it out. A whole lot easier than the 20 minutes I took last time trying to get this shaft out. Okie dokie. Now that that's out, we're going to carefully move this back over. Pop out the fork. Get the rocker out of there. And there's a screw right here holding this part in. Undo that screw. There's a gap, or there's a hole in the casting over here that lets this slide over. Wiggle it out, and then drive that out. Fish this little spring out of here. Turn it upside down. If there's some grease in there, it might not come out yet that easy. I've already cleaned this thing up. There's the spring. It comes out of this hole right here. Casting is now empty. It's pretty quick, right? So the learning is, for me, that these flat spots go on in. See? And turn it down. And when you hammer it in with a punch, the ball stays in place while it pushes out this little cap. Then you can drive it back that way to get it out. All right, let's get this thing back together. First thing is the shaft going up to the selector lever. Good and greasy. Next is this thing. Make sure that is down like that. Bring it inside. Should be able to get it over in the hole and then slide it home. There's a groove on the end of that shaft. I'm just going to make sure it's kind of lined up here. Down in the hole. Good. Then this screw goes in place. May have to jiggle it a little bit to get it to go. There it goes. Okay. You're done. This knuckle on the end of the shaft here should go right in beside this casting cutout right here. Just like that. I'm going to put grease on there. And I'm going to grease the hole a little bit for this rocker lever. This part of the rocker lever should come down this way on the casting. Just slides on there. All right, we're going to put some grease on this spring. Put it down the hole. Push it down the hole. Make sure it goes into that other hole down in there. Okay. And put a little grease on the ball. Maybe a lot of grease. Push it down in the hole. It sits on top of the spring down in there. Set the fork in there. You may have to rotate this shaft up here a little bit to get the fork in line with it. Just like that. And then we're going to take our greased shaft with the flat parts down and insert it through the fork all the way in there to where it's almost touching that ball. All right, now I'm going to move it back. And there we go. All right, so insert a punch right here. Get on top of the ball. Press it down in the hole. And drive that shaft over. Just like that. All right, I think it should be home. At least the hole's covered and I didn't see the ball come out. Now then, I'm going to punch this shaft on in. And then I'm going to rotate it to align the hole in the fork and the hole in the shaft. Just like that. Okay, now we take our roll pin, drive it in place. Should have a little bit sticking out of both sides. There you go. Leave it proud on both sides. Okay, that operates well. Smooth like butter. That's really smooth. All right, let's talk about this cap screw for just a minute. Now, we don't screw that all the way in. So we've got 3 detents. 1, 2, 3, right? You can screw this cap screw in too far. So what I have kind of figured on is screw it in to where you can just see it touching the shaft. It starts to push the shaft that way. And then back it off. Yeah, that'll work. All right, so I'm going to leave it just like that. I'll unscrew it again and put some blue Loctite on it. Ooh, that's a lot. Just to the point where it starts to touch the shaft. Right there. And then back it off. And then I'm going to get that shaft away from it. So yeah, this cap screw is fairly loose on the threads. So I figured I'd put a little blue Loctite on it to kind of fix it in place. All right, I flipped it up on its, flipped it up the right way, and let's get these top components back on. Got the foam deal cleaned up, just soaked it in diesel fuel for a little bit and squeezed it out. Worked okay. It was on just like that. Phillips screwdriver. These weren't very tight. And a new knob. Case IH. Part number K947405 if you need a new lever. Let's get it open. All right. Knob goes on like so. All right, we have successfully fixed it, I believe. It moves back and forth. I've got a new lever on top here. We've disassembled it twice on camera. Ooh, almost forgot something. We got to put this plug in. Just tap it in. Now we're done. So, sorry about the 2 videos on disassembly. Had to do it. I couldn't just leave it well enough alone. Having other people out there trying to take that shaft off with vice grips. So, I had to show the other way I kind of figured out to do it. But we've got it working. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a good day.